Did you know that most AI bots are female? Studies show that most of the population prefer the sound of a female voice over a male voice. It is because of this that if you ask voice assistants like Alexa or Siri a question, that you will be answered by a pleasant and polite woman's voice. A very warm welcome and thank you for joining. I am Tania from the Global User Groups organization and your host for today. With me, I have three experts whom I shall introduce shortly. And in the background, there is an entire team to assist with your questions. We therefore invite you to actively engage in this session, asking questions and sharing your thoughts. Please post your questions in the chat, give the context, and make sure to ask complete questions. This will help the experts to answer your questions. We will focus on answering your questions live that are relevant to today's topics, but the team will try their best to answer all of your questions. Now, let me share my intro deck and introduce our experts. Here we go. So today we will focus on GenAI Hub, on document information extraction, and SAC Just Ask. Our experts are Hadi Hares, Tomasz Janasz, and Francois Imberton. And Hadi Hades is a product manager for SAP AI Core. His slogan is "Honesty and openness brings us further in life." Next, we have Tomasz Janasz. He's a director in product management unit for AI at SAP. His focus lies on shaping the strategy and driving the adoption of business AI across the SAP portfolio and in enterprises. And then we have Francois Imberton. He is part of SAP Analytics Cloud product management, focusing on augmented analytics. He is passionate about data analysis, challenging questions, analytical thinking, and human biases in decision making. And with this, I would like to hand over to you, Hadi.
Thanks a lot, Tanya, for the introduction. So, hi everyone from my side. Hadi Hares, my name. So, quickly giving you a short introduction on the topic of GenAI Hub. Let me share quickly this slide just as a brief overview what we talk about. So, we announced the GenAI Hub on TechEd last year and successfully also brought it to GA by end of December, and now it is available. What you can expect from GenAI Hub is basically the slide here. It's the backbone to all generative AI capabilities that we have at SAP, being it pushed into Azure or into applications and extensions. And as you see here, we have three pillars towards tool sets, trust and control, and foundation model and access. Here we provide capabilities like the playground or libraries and SDK to explore LLMs that we provide, being it in more in a programmatical fashion or in a UI where you just interact with it. And then on the trust and control layer, we have a couple of functionalities that we need to provide to make this ready also for our LOBs, meaning SuccessFactors, Ariba, and other LOBs, but also for our customers and partners. With in mind that we provide obviously the enterprise security and data privacy in place, so that you can rest assured that this is covered on our side. And on the lowest pillar here, we have foundation model access, which we introduced partner models like the most famous Azure OpenAI models, but also with Outlook in the future, we will look also what SAP can provide. I would stop here, just a brief introduction, and then opening up with a question later. I would hand over to my colleague here.
Okay, so I'll take over, I guess. So welcome everybody from my side as well. My name is Tomasz, and today I prepared for you the topic of document information extraction, abbreviated with docs. So docs is SAP's offering for providing intelligent document processing capabilities. But it's not only limited to pure OCR. You can think about that in a more value-adding, from the more value-adding perspective. So what we understand under business document processing is that, first of all, you have to acquire the data from somewhere. So we call that ingestion. And the second step, you extract the information from the documents. So not only the OCR part, but you want to understand the semantics of the document. You want to understand what a specific number, for example, is what is meant with this number, whether it's, for example, an invoice number or a purchase order number. And then finally, in order to get even more value out of your unstructured data on documents, you can enrich this data with the corresponding master data that you might have in your system of record. Before I introduce you to the innovation that we have introduced in docs, I just wanted to tell you that the technology of docs is available basically across board within SAP products. So here is a small selection of standard SAP products where you will already find AI embedded into standard business processes. So you can find it in the business network for suppliers. On the buyer side, you'll find that in the central invoice management. In S/4HANA, you will have also an access to an app for sales order automation, or you might have seen this in action in SAP Concur Expenses when you upload your expenses. Now, if we talk about the extension of document information extraction, we have been implementing large language models and, in general, generative AI into the product capabilities throughout 2023. And beginning of December, we launched the new edition of Docs, which is called Premium Edition. So there are two main added values that you will get with that. You can basically now automate all business documents use cases that you have in your company. And secondly, you can do it in more than 40 languages out of the box. So today, you don't need to set up templates. You don't have to train any machine learning models. You then don't have to curate your data. You just start using docs and with the underlying LLM technology. I prepared a short demo for you just to show you how it feels and works in action. So you can see here the user interface of docs. And today, a small maybe Easter egg for you. We want to process a Pokemon card. And the model has not been trained. There are no templates that I have stored somewhere in the background. I just want to upload this document and extract some of the information. Just for the sake of the time, I would like to get the name of the Pokemon and its hit point value, which you can find here in the upper right corner. So what I need to do for that, I need to create a schema, which I will call a Pokemon detector, and select the document type as custom. With that, I have created a schema. Now I have to add a description of the field that I want to extract, would be the Pokemon name. This is going to be a string, and the setup type is actually defining what you want to, how you want to extract the information from the document. And I will go for auto. Auto enables me to get access to the LLM. And the second thing we wanted to extract is the HB value, which is the hit point value of the Pokemon. This is going to be the number as data type, setup type auto. I activate the schema, and with that, I'm all set to process the document. So let me now upload the document here with the corresponding schema that I just activated, which is the Pokemon detector. Now I need the document. Okay, and then there is a wizard which once again shows me, what I will be extracting. And by confirming, I'm uploading the document to the service, which is a cloud service. And now we take care of the whole prompt that is built up by the service based on the schema and based on the content of the document. We are sending that to the LLM. And now, next to no time, hopefully we will get now the results automatically extracted and presented to us, in this user interface. So let's give it another second. The status should change to ready. That is exactly what has happened. And now you can see the preview of the document, right? And then you can already see here this bounding boxes in blue, which indicate the values that got extracted from the document. So you can hover over it, and then you can see that it has extracted the Pokemon name, which is the Pikachu V. You can see the key value per here above the bounding box, and the same for the HP value that got extracted correctly from this section of the document. Now you can also see the extracted results side by side in a structured way on the right side of the UI. All right, that was the demo for today. I hand over to the next speaker. Thanks.
Thank you. So I won't talk about Pikachu, unfortunately, but I'm going to talk about Just Ask. So let me share my screen. So Just Ask is a feature of SAP NX Cloud. So SAP NX Cloud is an integral product that has been around for quite a few years now, for over 8 years. And Just Ask introduces natural language query within SAP NX Cloud. So it's a way to ask questions using text, plain text, ordinary English, as opposed to needing to be an expert to build content, build stories, build dashboards, build reports from that. And so for this, I'm going to show you a quick demo, which is based on a database, which is a public database built from the European Commission. It's called EDGAR, Emission Database for Global Atmospheric Research. So I did an extract of, and you can do the same thing if you go on the website. It's really, really interesting data. I wouldn't say cool data, but interesting, enlightening data around global warming and greenhouse gas emissions. And so if I now navigate to Just Ask, so here I am within SAP Analytics Cloud, so I can open Just Ask using the light bulb at the top here, and I'm ready to ask questions to Just Ask. So don't ask any questions, but ask data-related questions, and obviously data-related questions on data that you own, that you have in your system, in particular in SAP Analytics Cloud data models. And so I can start ask questions like the change in the global emission since 2000. And Just Ask provides me an answer which shows me the growth in greenhouse gas emissions over the past 22 years. You see that it stops at 2022 because EDGAR data that was collected up to last October, actually, that was released last October, goes up to 2022. And so I can refine that or change that, for instance, to display it in a bar chart. So I can requery for the data to be displayed in a bar chart. And see here, what I can do is use basically the standard SAP NX Cloud chart interactions to get more insights. In particular here, I can compare the emissions in 2000 to the emissions in 2022 and see that we have a growth of over 45% in global emissions. And then, of course, I can refine that, right? That's the beauty of, and that's the whole story around analytics, is that you start with a fairly general question and then you can drill, you can analyze, you can refine your queries and your questions. So here, for instance, I zoom or I filter down on the last few years, and I can see, for instance, that there was a drop, and that's kind of the only drop in 2020, obviously because of COVID and the blockout. And so I can go on and ask for more questions. And I'll stop there, but you get the idea, right? I get some suggestions in helping me expressing my question. And so here, for instance, I can ask for specific regions in the world, so the United States, China, and European Union, and you can see obviously the growth that is significant in China, basically due to its growth in economic activity. If I change that or ask for a slightly different question, which is emissions per GDP, right? So then the picture is actually quite different because obviously in the meantime, well, China's GDP has grown tremendously, and therefore you see that if you look at per GDP point, well, then China has been much more efficient in reducing its greenhouse gas emissions. And so that's what Just Ask is about, asking data questions, asking analytical questions using plain language within SAP NXT. With this, I think we can open up for questions.
So currently, no questions in the chat, but as I mentioned in the beginning, I am in the Global User Groups organization, and we interact with a lot of members of theirs. And I have been asked, what is the difference between narrow AI and generative AI that is used in the service? Could you explain that, Tomasz?
Yeah, so I think it relates to the document information extraction. So, previously, what we have been focusing on is training specialized machine learning models for solving specialized tasks. So if you take, for example, a supplier invoice or a purchase order as an example, these are specialized use cases where you need this ML capability to extract the information from. And for that, you need tons of data. You need to prepare the data. You have to split the data into the training set, test set, annotate the data, then experiment with that, train the model, deploy it, productize it, commercialize it, and so on and so on. It takes lots of time. Whereas if you talk about generative AI, it has been trained on lots of data upfront, right? And you can assume that certain piece of knowledge is already embedded and inherent in the large language model. And with that, you can use that for solving generic tasks. With that, we now don't have the need to collect vast amounts of data and work with this data, but we can really rely on the power of the large language model or the generative AI in general out of the box. And this is the major shift that we have observed in the recent hype around generative AI, which brings lots of value for SAP and of course for our customers.
Great, thank you so much. Hadi, can you share more about the roadmap for Gen AI Hub? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, sure. So what we are currently obviously looking into is providing more and more access to more LLMs that are in the market, especially those that are really interested by the community. So that's at least in the first half of the year, most important case that we have on our side. And then much more, at least for me personally, quite interesting is also the outlook, how we can leverage agents and plugins in the sense of Gen AI applications to run it even more efficiently. Processes are done in the background automatically and so on. So as of now, it feels like it's like a research state, but also there are already applications leveraging that functionality and technology. So there I'm also quite interested to see what we from Gen AI Hub can provide and make those use cases that sit on top of that leverage that capability. So that's roughly a short roadmap, what we are looking at least for this year. Obviously, there will be a much more detailed roadmap if you would be interested in to go to Roadmap Explorer, right? Some of you might know this. So yeah, that's the roadmap. And besides that, that's the roadmap specifically for the product that I'm responsible. But there's a lot of roadmaps sitting on top of that, right? For Joule, there's a lot of things. There's for Docs, there's a lot of things. There's for solution areas like SuccessFactors and other BTP solutions, also a lot of things. So quite interesting, at least in terms of this year.
Thank you so much. Then I have a question from Daniel in the chat to Francois. Can you share more about the architecture of the analytics engine?
I can, yeah. And actually, there's also another question which is related, which is around is there OLAP database under the hood? So obviously, this is not related to AI and to specifically to the feature I just shown, which is called Just Ask. But yes, within SAP NX Cloud, actually, so it's a multi-tenant environment that is powered by HANA. And so HANA provides a server which is called the MDS, the multi-dimensional server, which is basically an OLAP engine. So that's what fuels the answers, the output of what you just saw, right? The output as chart or as table within SAP NX Cloud. And so Just Ask leverages that to basically to issue queries against that engine and to get answers back in terms of as queries and as result sets, right? Data sets.
Great, thank you. Then we have several questions, of course, on Gen AI. Harry, perhaps you can share a bit how is SAP adopting Gen AI and more further information in-house, from outside, et cetera, et cetera. That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, gladly to cover that topic. So the overall idea for the Gen AI Hub was to provide one central place for all in BTP, obviously, one central place to interact with these technology. And this comes actually from our internal requirements that we have for our LOBs, being it, again, SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, but also S4, providing them one place so that they can interact too. But on the same hand, we also provide this technology to our customers and partners in BTP so that they can leverage this for their own applications and extensions. And now with outlook into the whole Gen AI market, you might say, yeah, why doing this is each second week there is something new happening. It's currently really dynamic. It's really moving fast, and that's why we needed to have an abstraction layer as SAP to safeguard ourselves for the really dynamic market of new models coming in, so that we always can provide for ourselves, but also for our customers and partners the current best models without sticking to one model for the next 2 years or so. So that's the overall Gen AI Hub strategy, and the overall SAP Gen AI strategy is obviously to provide more and more Gen AI use cases across our whole portfolio, and make everything more intelligent, more efficient, more easier to use. So yeah, that you are happy to use actually the SAP UIs that we have, and your workday is much efficient and easy.
Thank you so much. There's a follow-up question, Francois, to the architecture. So it would be database, OLAP, XML, analytics using AI?
Yes, that's so XML not really, but HTTP requests definitely. So it's text at one point, but that's it. That's the idea. Maybe I could shed a little bit more light around where does the AI piece fits into that, because I didn't talk about that for Just Ask. So Just Ask, as I said, is about natural language queries. So it generates a query, and that's where the Gen AI piece comes into play. The large language model is a very focused, very specialized, fine-tuned model trained to generate queries, so technical queries, analytical queries against that OLAP engine we were talking about earlier, from text, right? So that's where that's what the LLM is about as far as Just Ask is concerned. And then in addition to that, in terms of AI technology, or before that, there's two other models that are leveraged. So two other networks. One is very common in natural language processing, which is text embedding. Text embeddings is vector representations of words, and it helps Just Ask infer words that are similar. So when I actually ask about emissions, there's no emissions in my data model. There's actually CO2 equivalent, right, which is very different. So it will use synonyms to do that. So and text embedding. The other one is NER. So name entity recognition, that's also key. That's to recognize, and that's not the LLM who does that, to recognize within my question, what is a fact, what is a dimension, what is a filter. So those are, in a nutshell, the three types of AI technology that we use with Just Ask, and which comes basically on top of this OLAP engine and on top of what SAP Knowledge Cloud provides in terms of UI and front end.
Thank you. Another follow-up question for you. What are the data sources what data sources, are supported by Just Ask as the same as what our AI technologies are used by AI? Just Ask, sorry.
So analytics in general, they connect to data sources, right? And so typically within SAP, we have famous data sources, which are BW, HANA, DataSphere, and we have also a breadth of other data sources out there from third parties. And so within SAP, that's a service provided by SAP Knowledge Cloud, and so Just Ask leverage that, and it supports all the data sources where you import the data, where you load on a schedule matter data from the source inside the tenant, inside your SAP Knowledge Cloud environment. So that's supported by Just Ask. It's called Acquire Data Models. In addition to that, Just Ask also support DataSphere models. So when the data is not loaded into SAP Knowledge Cloud, but loaded or virtually accessible within DataSphere. Those are the sources that are supported today. What is not supported, and it's important because lots of our customers uses those sources, or live access to SAP BW or live access to HANA. This is not yet supported by Just Ask, and that will come hopefully by the end of the year, but I'm not sure yet. So we're working on that.
Great, thank you. Hadi, Gen AI, is it available in the SAP BTP trial? How can I test out the capabilities?
Really great question, and I get this question quite a lot. As a customer, no. We honestly took the conscious decision of, as of now, not providing the trial because we want to make it a much better experience than just interacting with LLMs, rather providing, and there's this concept in BTP, providing guided experience. And this might be now new to colleagues here, but the idea is to provide at some point in time, and that's also what I provided in my initial blog post that generative AI is out now, that we will work on a specific trial edition to make it to streamline also the use case. Because if you just want to interact with LLMs, you could do this freely in the internet. You don't need SAP for that, right? But if it's coming to a business context or business AI context, that's what we want to provide this. And there, the current trial setup or free trial setup is not meant for that. We are aiming more for the guided experience where you get certain use cases or ideas, how to leverage this in a business context, and then you can sit on top of that and experience that. And that there we see much more value than just providing you the free trial and interacting with the technology. So long story short, trial as of now is not there. And once we have the guided experience story available, then it's also available to interact with it.
Thank you. There's a question to you, Hadi, but of course, although Tomasz and Francois, please add. Were there any LOBs started using Gen AI related to clients?
Not sure if clients is meant here customers or just a client in the technical sense. I now understand it's more on a client side, customer side. Yes, LOB are already using that. There's a couple of LOBs already providing productive use cases. One, again, the famous example is the SuccessFactors job description case. But more and more comes. So even in Q1, the pipeline is full. We also each week we ship more and more use cases in those LOBs so that customers and clients can use this. Colleagues in the call, do you have some more things to add here?
Yeah, maybe I can also add on top. So embedding AI and in particular Gen AI is one of the strategic focuses of SAP. You might have seen in the mass media that there were also some internal reorganizations at SAP in order to facilitate that, to embed AI across the board at SAP. So currently we have a pipeline of over 100 use cases that we want to deliver this year to customers so that they can really experience the boost in the user experience with our software. And you will find use cases, as Hadi mentioned, in SuccessFactors, but there will be also use cases in Concur, in S4HANA, Field Glass, transportation management. So you just stay tuned and get information from our community. So, for example, for document information extraction, I can share a sneak preview with you. So one of the use cases that we are currently working on together with the transportation management LOB is the one for automating the data extraction and data ingestion into transportation management for delivery nodes in order to match the data from a delivery node with a consignment order. This is quite a tedious task usually that is being performed by people doing manual work at the production sites. So that's one of the examples that you will see also being delivered soon.
And maybe I can add from that. So from an analytical standpoint and from a Just Ask standpoint, so we're working on integrating Just Ask within Joule. Joule is the SAP conversational agent or co-pilot within that will be integrated into different applications, including, we talked about it, it's already available within SuccessFactors. So within Joule, within that co-pilot assistant, you will be able to ask analytical questions just like the one I've shown you directly, right? And so what Joule will do is route the question. When it sees it, understand that it's an analytical question, it will route the question to Just Ask for the processing and get back probably a chart or a table as we just seen. And that will be surfaced across the different line of business applications as they adopt and as they integrate Joule in their framework and applications.
Great, thank you. I think actually it already answers one of the questions, the relationship between Joule and Just Ask. So I guess that answers that one.
Yeah, kind of answers that. Yeah. One is about dialogue, one is about conversation, one is about understanding user intent, right? That's sure. And Just Ask is specialized, very specialized on analytical questions and getting the right insights to the user as long as it's about questions around data.
Okay, maybe we can just stick with you still. How is Just Ask licensed?
Yeah, so traditionally, we as a product manager, you don't answer that. You probably recommend talking to your account manager or some sales expert. But actually, for Just Ask, it's pretty straightforward. Just Ask standalone, right? As just what I've shown is part of the SAP and its cloud license, right? So any customer that has or that will require a license, a subscription to SAP NX Cloud will get for his users a license of Just Ask, and there's no restrictions in that way.
Awesome, good news. Hadi, can you perhaps explain how GenAI will integrate with RPA?
Really great question, but as of now, not sure how it integrates. So obviously they have the access to GenAI Hub, so they can start. And I know for sure that there are use cases, internal use cases currently evaluated, but how this exactly unfolds with RPA and with the whole agents and all stuff, we need to see, right? It's currently in more on a research level, evaluation level, than that I can share more details or disclose this year.
Maybe with the relation to document information extraction, because for those of you who are using IRPA or the new naming convention, SAP Build Process Automation, you might know that you have the activities there if you build up your automations around document processing. So basically, like each and every capability of document information extraction base edition is available for you to consume as part of the SBPA license, right, already today. And of course, because document processing is one of the main use cases that process automation is trying to solve, it is being investigated also to provide the premium capabilities of docs, because that will expedite the automation projects at our customers. So I don't have like the concrete timelines now for that, but I can definitely say that our colleagues from the SBPA product are looking into that and are willing also to provide premium capabilities as part of RPA platform of SAP.
Thank you. Francois, is it possible for our customers to train Just Ask with their own data?
That's a question that I get very often from our customers. And the answer is no. You will not train on your own data. The reason is quite straightforward, is that basically the training happens, the large language model, and actually the NER as well, training happens is handled by Just Ask development, and it's very specialized with a training data set that is actually generated, that is with synthetic data. And so we don't use customer data at all for that. And so it's a generic training that would not make sense in specifically using customer data. What's specific about customer data, about your own data, is the text embedding. So that happens when you add dimensions and when you add models to Just Ask. So the indexing happens. So that becomes very specific, and that's what enables that Just Ask to recognize your data and infer what is a dimension, what is a measure. And there's another aspect, which is explicit synonyms. You can define your own synonyms, and that's how you can adapt Just Ask to your own jargon, to your own terms. If you have like very specific acronyms that you use internally, Obviously, text embedding won't help with that, and so you need to define your own synonyms, and that's how you're going to adapt Just Ask to your specific use case, to how people in your organization work and ask questions. That's the way to basically work with Just Ask.
Thank you. Hadi, with regards, you mentioned before guided experience. The ask is that hopefully GenAI will submit bug fix requests automatically.
That would be a really interesting use case, but we don't want to spoil the fun of our SAP colleagues there in the field. So I guess we won't solve that topic in the guided experience case. So maybe you as a customer or partner want to leverage this capability so it's easier than provide us to our partners, customers. So maybe that's a hint to work together against that, right?
Okay, thank you. But there's another question. Are there any REST APIs available to connect to ServiceNow tools to analyze the ticket volume from users?
Yeah, good. We are now talking about this tool that is not SAP specific, so I can't give you specific guidance on that. But yeah, it's up to your integration. So yeah, you are with BTP set to do anything. So what you can integrate, you could do, and then you can provide their your use case. That's the generic answer I would give, not depending on a specific vendor like ServiceNow.
Okay. Now, one question perhaps of interest for everyone that refers to all of you. What would you recommend as the very first and next steps to get started with AI and SAP BTP?
So starting.
I can speak for docs. So we have prepared a trial instance for our users just to try it out. I mean, there are certain limitations in terms of how many documents you can upload for processing. Just for the sake of of costs, because still GenAI is not that cheap, right? But anyhow, we provided this experience to you. So specifically for docs, I think I shared a link, or Ceci shared a link in the chat where it is guiding you to our tutorial. And this tutorial is super easy. We provide also a so-called booster. So you don't have to do anything. Actually, you just hit the run button and the whole instance and application is set up for you automatically. The only thing that you have to have is obviously the account, right? So you need to set up a trial account. There are no strings attached, no costs. You just create an account and run the booster. And then you can basically take whatever use case you want, just as I showed you in the demo with the Pokemon card, create your own schema and then try it out for yourself.
Thank you.
Maybe I can answer that as well. So how do you get started? I think maybe you would agree all that we have a very strong focus today on technology, in particular on GenAI. And the starting point usually and should be the people, the users in your organization. So to me, the starting point is finding the relevant use case, the use cases that provide the most value for applying those technology, no matter what technology you talk about, in particular the GenAI technology. And that's what I discuss with our analytics customer in general, is how to get started. And the starting point is finding this audience that has appetite for asking their own questions, has a need also that is underserved by the existing answers, by the existing content, right? So finding the use case, finding the audience is for me the key to the success or the failure, actually, to a given project.
Then let me chime also in. Yeah, as I can also second what Francois said, is it's really important to not only find the people, but in my perspective, even provide the technology broad scale to people. And maybe just a side note to this, what we did at SAP is to provide a generative AI playground to all our SAP employees in the beginning of last year. And yeah, it was quite interesting how much people really interacted with them during their daily work and provided use cases that you now see coming more and more into the solutions and providing this. So and also some efficiency that we already see. So I can only urge you to discuss this with your company to look into the offerings that we have and make this technology available, because it makes much easier life for them. So yeah, that's what the interaction point, I would say.
Yeah, actually, I can testify to that. I'm a user of this playground. That's find it super interesting. And you're right. Actually, it's a great way to trigger those use cases, right? Trigger the need and have those surface almost naturally. So I think that's a great thing that you did with this playground.
One thing that came up to my mind is so earlier 2023, where the whole hype around Gen AI started, SAP promoted the topic through so-called Global AI Days. So I think one of very important aspects is really to enable also your own organization and your own employees, because even if you are a technical person, you might know the latest and greatest in the space of AI, but like regular employees in the back office or in the field, they might not really understand what is behind the technology. So providing like short curricula or enablement sessions, they don't have to go days long, right? In our case, it was 1 day, you know, for almost all the employees. So that they can really get up to speed. But you can have like really short sessions with experts who just, you know, explain how the technology is working, you know, regarding the data privacy topics, because this is something that people always are concerned with. And of course, the use cases, right? What kind of use cases you can solve with that.
Great, thank you very much for the detailed answer. I have a question for Hadi. Can we deploy AI models for SAP ECC on Gen AI Hub that will extract information from SAP tables based on certain conditions?
So answer directly the question, yes. The easy way would be yes, but it all boils down what exactly means by AI model, because AI Core provides you, it's the runtime, what we have is providing you generic options to host any model that you have. And if you now specifically talk about LLMs or Gen AI models, then you could do it also. But the question at the end is how much you need to put into this information that you extract from those SAP tables into your LLM. So ultimately, at the end, it boils down, how is it better to go with the so-called narrow AI approach, where you train your own model and host it, and it may be better than using one of the community models like Llama 2 or Mistral or the other, or Falcon that we provide in Gen AI Hub, and leveraging that with prompt engineering. So, and then also cost aspect is also plays or should be watched over, because there's classic AI, Neuro AI, you need to host this is quite costly for the hardware, while those bigger community models are already hosted and you're just leveraging that. So that's the longer answer to that.
Great, thank you. Another question to you. Can you provide specific details on the design of Gen AI? is the algorithm open source? And perhaps a bit of a background, because Daniel provided background, because the analytics algorithm needs to be optimized to ensure business performance is not compromised by suboptimal logic, not fitting specific business needs.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the GenAI Hub case on our side is looking at both or even three ways. So yes, open source is definitely an important topic, meaning Falcon 4DB, Llama 2 or Llama 3 maybe in the future, then Mistral is all open source. And those models we want to bring in because we want to give our customers and partners a choice. But also our internal stakeholders like LOBs, we want to give them choice, because there might be use cases where you say, yeah, I don't want to send my data to Azure or other partners that we have in the future. So that's the open source piece. But obviously we have also two other models where we interact with our partners, where we send the data to their service, right, with, let's say, Azure OpenAI. But there are also models that we are currently working on that I can disclose, is that we host their commercial models in our data center, manage this completely on our side, so that we still can say, okay, it's a commercial model, we didn't build it ourselves or just craft it out of the open source community, and we make it available in a safe, secure manner for our customers and partners.
Maybe also to add on that from the perspective of our application for documents, right? I mean, of course, we are experimenting with variety of models, be it commercial models or open source models. So whatever the Gen AI Hub is making available, we take into action, to see how well they are working for specific use cases. This is to provide like the best experience for the customers and the best possible accuracy. Right, so I think that's going to be the ongoing task of SAP, to see what works best and how to provide it in a most trustful way, right? Because we definitely want to make sure that the data is secure for our customers, that there is no misuse, that there is no retraining on customer data. So within this aspect, we are also heavily involved into legal discussions and enterprise agreements with the third-party providers to avoid that the data is misused. Right, so I think to sum it up, what you get with SAP is that we are a kind of a proxy, right? But we make sure that we meet also all the product standards that our customers expect from us.
Great, thank you so much. Currently, we have no other questions in the chat. And just an offer for anyone also watching then the video on demand. If you have any questions, feel free to use the comments area underneath this video. We will definitely look into the comments area regularly and answer your questions there as well if any other questions pop up. So, and with this, a big thank you to our experts for your time and answering all the questions, but of course, a heartfelt thank you to our attendees for joining and asking so many questions. It was awesome. And I hope we will see you again in one of our next sessions, sorry.
Too many questions.
Pardon me?
Too many questions.
Too many questions. Yes, exactly. And as my colleague also posted just now in the chat, any follow-up questions, feel free to ask in the community. All the experts, SAP, as well as your peers are in our community. Feel free to ask and interact there. And with this, my colleagues,
thank you.
Thanks a lot,
comments
Tania.
from your side? Thank you
Thank you.
for
Have a nice day.
being here.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Have a great day. Have a great evening to anyone here, and looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.